This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Live from the infamous Dallas Sportatorium, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom Show with your hosts, Hassel and Monster. And as you can see, we have the beloved Big Rob back with us today for a special show. And Monster, how's it been?
It has been a busy week, dude. But I had an assignment this week and it wasn't bad. But like I was telling Big Rob before we even got started here, it was after I got there, instead of a 10-minute drive to work every day from the hotel like it usually is, I had to stay at the hotel 45 minutes to an hour away just because everything was sold out where I usually go. So it just made the week seem even longer, even though the work days were really normal length. Wow, somebody has a strong phone.
That is mine. I've got it here so we can Google fact check some shit later. For the show we got. I was
about to have to ask if that was something besides the phone that you had somewhere else.
No, it's
vibrator got turned on.
Opening day. People are going to blow my phone up the rest of the day, I would imagine.
Well, so with that, let's just go ahead and jump right in. And as usual, we'll thank our sponsor. Before we even do that, let's thank Big Rob for coming back on, part of our extended family here for the Nerdy Man Room, and we thank him for spending some time coming on and joining us. We always love it when you get to come.
You guys letting me.
No, we love it when you come, man. It gives us more of a dissenting opinion because, Hassel and I usually tend to agree on a lot of things, and then the ones we don't, I'm not an arguer, so I just let him have it.
Yeah, I like it that way. Don't fight.
I'm enough of an asshole, everybody.
But with that, let's thank our sponsor, These Own Collectibles. You can find them at their store located at 305 Main Street in Tifton, Georgia. You can find them on the internet at theseowncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at These Own Collectibles. Visit them for all your nerdy needs, from comics to Legos, trading cards, toys, games, and more. Help them support the local artist community through their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And as you'll hear near the end of the episode, like always, we get some shout outs, and we've got some new members joining our community. We'll give some shout outs too. So while we're talking Fandoms Unite, just wanted to throw that out there that, hey, we are bringing more and more into this community bubble every day, and we really appreciate everybody's participation and input. But with that,
very much so. Well, while we're giving out love to the friends and family of the show, I did talk to Daniel Garcia last night, and he let me know the book is finished. It is off to the print.
Nice.
It's ready to go. Everything
excellent.
From letters to colors to all the art is completely done and squashed. And I took a couple shots of celebratory whiskey for him. So, Dan, we love you, brother, and we are so happy for you.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. But with that, let's go straight to Geek Week, and we'll try to knock this out because we got a big focus topic we want to do this week. It was one shared to us from one of our community members, or as we know, last week we said, hey, let's let the fans decide, and one of our fans chose, and we'll explain a little bit more of that as we get to it. But Big Rob, since you're the guest, we're going to let you go first on Geek Week this week.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I'm super pumped. I had heard that Daniel's book was finished too, so I am really looking forward to getting my hands on that. My Geek Week, mine runs a little different than you guys because I don't really read much comics anymore. I have been reading a couple of novels. I finished The Leeching Hour, which is from the Bill of the Dead series, which is the sequel series to the Toma Bill. If anybody's got Kindle Unlimited, they're free to read on there. If not, they're probably only like $5 or $10 a piece. These are some of the funniest freaking books that I have ever read. It's basically a guy named Bill who's basically one of us that gets turned into a vampire. Some of the smartest dialogues, some of the funniest pop culture references. I can't recommend that shit enough. And But that's I probably read about 10 other books this week. I won't bore y'all with that. Movie wise, I watched The Samaritan with Sylvester Stallone. I think that's on Prime Video.
I've actually, well, I'm on the kids set. I haven't
Yeah,
got to.
that one was on my
That's
list.
on my list.
That was on my list out to share this week. So since while you're talking about it, I may throw in my 2 cents while you're on it.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty good action. It could have been a little bit darker, and I did read one article that kind of said that it kind of wavered back and forth, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good backstory, and honestly, I would probably like to know more about the whole universe, because it's a whole different universe than what we're used to. But I thought it was really solid. I think Stallone did a great job as the main character in it, and the kid did all right too. It was a pretty solid movie though.
Yeah, I we always talk about how we rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, just out of enjoyment from watching it from the get go, instead of like we did with the John Wick, where we broke it down and gave it more critical eye. But for me, for this, just for an enjoyment factor, I gave it like a 7. I thought it was really well done. It could have been about 20 minutes shorter or so, I thought, because like in the middle of the second act, it gets to a really slow point and it kind of stays in that area for a little while, and then it picks back up towards the end. The beginning is very decently paced, and the ending it's just kind of right there in the middle. It kind of lost me for about 15, 20 minutes. I was like, okay, this could speed up a little bit, because they were giving a little bit too much exposition on not really the side story. It's part of the main story, but it was still just kind of like, okay, we could have done this in a montage and moved on.
Right.
But other than that, I
agree with
really
that.
liked it. And it is actually I didn't know this I thought I'd heard of it before, and I just didn't remember why. But it's actually a graphic novel. This is what this is based on. I've never read it. I need to look it up and see if I can find it, because it looked like, I don't know if there's anything else to it besides the one book and then the movie, but it was not bad, and it had a great. I don't want to give anything away, but it had a great twist to it that made a lot of sense by the time you got to the end of it.
Yeah. I can't disagree with any of that. I would have probably given it an 8. That's just me, but I can agree with everything you said. I did not realize it was a graphic novel. I had not tried to look that up, but I can't disagree with any of that. But kind of stepping a little further, I watched Day Shift, which actually may have been a couple weeks ago. I will disagree with you on that one, Monster, because I thought that movie was hilarious. And I know you didn't give it a lot of props when you talked about it the other week. I thought it was hilarious. I thought the action and the horror was spot on. I really hope they make more of those. But that's just me.
I enjoyed it. I thought
Was it kind of set up to have
part.
sequels, or is it a deal where it was like a one and done?
No, I think they set it up that you could do sequels. Honestly, you could probably do world building if you wanted to on it.
It didn't leave you hanging that you know that the sequel was coming, but it left you open where you could have done something. But it was a self-contained story for that individual story. It had a beginning and an end, but you could easily build on it later on if you wanted to.
Yeah, there was no like cliffhanger or anything crazy like that. But and this is not really a spoiler alert here, but all of the vampire hunters belong to this vampire hunting union. And so, honestly, you could world build off the union and spin off into other characters and other stories, I think, pretty easily. I don't know if they will or not, but I think it could be done.
So the vampires have their own union.
The vampire hunters.
Oh,
the vampire hunters.
Sam and Dean missed out then. They should have been a part of a union. They totally got the shaft a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They could have upgraded that charger a whole lot with union pay.
An Impala.
I don't know. I've never seen an episode of it, so who knows?
You just lost 25 cool points, brother.
That's okay. I have never. Well, I started with 0, so I'm okay with that.
Hassel doesn't get to collect cool points anyway, because he gives me grief on Game of Thrones and all those too, and I haven't seen any of those. So
yeah, you're really.
I've seen one episode. I did watch one episode, and it was delightfully mediocre.
You people bring sadness to my life, just so you know.
Yeah, well,
I just had to say that.
We've never professed that we're going to bring joy to anyone's life.
This is very true. And we continue to not.
Could be why two of us are still single. If we think about that a little bit in retrospective.
Probably true. So the last movie I watched was Me Time on Netflix. Kevin Hart and Marky Mark.
I watched that.
It's a comedy.
I didn't even write it down. I forgot about it.
Well, my geek week is my nerd thing is comedies. I love sci-fi and fantasy and horror and stuff like that. Well, not horror, but my nerd is comedy, so I tend to write down the comedy stuff more than anything. I thought it was really funny. Kevin Hart was really funny because he always is, and it was a fun little couple hours. It wasn't anything great or anything, but it was a fun movie.
It was funny. I would throw my 2 cents to it, and I thought it was funny, and I like a lot of Kevin Hart stuff. But I do get annoyed sometimes by the end of a movie with him if it's more than like an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half, because his delivery for everything is always the same.
Yeah.
But did you see where him and Marky Mark want to challenge John Cena and The Rock to a match at WrestleMania?
I would watch that.
I said that this morning. I was just like, it would be entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It would be very entertaining, but there's no way for this match to go more than 35 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
No, but it would be funny because Rock, Cena, or Rock and Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg are actually all really close friends. Now, Cena, I don't know how he got wrapped into that one, but
anybody that, I've Cena and Wahlberg have done some stuff together. So it's funny to me though. I mean, anybody that follows The Rock's Instagram, he's always posting his epic cheat days. I would imagine the turds he makes that next day are bigger than Kevin Hart. Easily. Because the pancakes and cookies he eats is bigger than Kevin Hart. So.
Yes. To me, and I'll tell you, Kevin Hart is at his funniest to me when it's just him and The Rock doing interviews or impromptu stuff, because he doesn't do that same deadpan delivery where he builds up to it and he sounds like he's whining all the way up to the delivery of what he's saying.
And generally, he's just the punchline of the entire thing.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, Al. You can go ahead.
Oh, no. You're fine. TV shows, the only thing I really watched. Thanks. The only thing I really watched was the last couple of episodes of She-Hulk. I really dig that show. I know what you guys said, and I think I was just in a dark place when I watched the first episode, because I went back and rewatched it, and it was a lot funnier than I thought. I think I was just having a bad week because work pisses me off on occasion.
And since you brought
that one up, it is getting better and better to me.
You brought that one up. That was on my list too from watching this week, because I've been keeping up with that one. That one is just a fun. And I know she's getting a lot of hate on there for being so meta. Talking to the camera and doing the fourth wall break. And people are like, "That's Deadpool stick." I was like, "Dude, she had a book on her own like in 1986 or 87. She was doing that before he was even created."
She was the innovator on that right there. And the way they do play it in the show, it's not just like when Deadpool does it, it's almost like for the sake of doing it. It just flows well there, because it's like sometimes it's nothing more than a signal, and you get it.
That's if you watch this week's episode, there's a point where she leans in and she's like, "Oh, connecting the A to the B story. Nice move." And I'm like,
I haven't actually watched this week's, but the first two episodes I actually loved. And the episode with Blonsky and the second one was really cool. Then it ties the movies back in, where he's been going out with Wong and battling in this underground circle, in Shang-Chi.
And Wong was in this week's episode, and he was hilarious to me.
Okay. I've got to watch that.
Like when they called him out on something, he's like, "I must depart," and opens the portal and just walks away, and everybody's like, "Where'd he go?"
Hey, perks of being the Sorcerer Supreme.
But I
gotta admit, the B story was absolutely hilarious to me.
Oh God, it was. But I also saw something in this episode that stood out to me, and it made me laugh so hard. It's like they addressed the reality of the fact that everybody's like, "Well, why we got to have another Hulk, and why has it got to be this woman, and she's this bigger?" And it's like all the guys who were hating on her for being a female version of Hulk. It's like, they probably really truthfully get that, and you see that in social media all the time. They just addressed it, and she was like, Just like, what's the big deal? And everybody, it was a great way to call it out without making it just, throwing it in your face. And it was like, all right, that was actually funny.
And sometimes you can address the elephant in the room and in a entertaining way, and like, okay, we just squashed it. We took all your bullshit away from you.
That's exactly what they did, really.
Yeah, and they did it well. I thought it was a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah.
So you got
the last thing on my list. I was gonna say the last thing I've got is and you guys may have already seen something about this, but I literally just kind of stumbled upon the trailer for it maybe about 2 or 3 days ago. A new video game called Evil West. It's supposed to hit, I think, in November, and it's basically it's like a Old West setting, but you're a cowboy, I guess, but you're a vampire hunter too. And
really?
It's third person, and they say that the combat, which it has melee combat and like different kinds of firearms, but they said it's very similar to the Arkham series, the free flow combat, which I freaking loved. And you can see there's a few gameplay trailers online, but it literally, you go from shotgunning these vampires, to there's some sort of, I don't know exactly how it is, but it looks like an electric thing that pulls them to you, and then you sit there and punch them and kick them and explode their heads. There's flamethrowers that you can use. There's a couple of things where if you kind of like sharpshooter, like sniper, that you can actually, you zoom in and you hit their arm, and their arm just like literally explodes and starts gushing blood. It's pretty hysterical. But the gameplay looks awesome, and I don't know how accurate the combat is based on the videos, but if it's anywhere like that, and it looks really awesome.
What's the name of that?
I think it's going to hit Evil West.
Well, to look into that. That sounds very interesting.
I haven't seen it either.
I like the Vampire Hunter D aspect of it, and then big fan of Red Dead Revolver and all those games. So I mean, so it sounds like it'd be up my alley.
Yeah, the combat mechanics kind of drew me in. Like I say, it's very similar to the Arkham games.
Is Rockstar putting this out?
I don't remember who's putting it out. I won't say yes and I won't say no. I'm not sure. But it's worth looking into. It's coming to PC, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Xbox X. I think, basically all the major consoles and PC. I don't know if it's coming to Switch. I don't think it is, but everything else.
Okay.
PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series X, Windows, and it is developed by Flying Wild Hog. Never heard of them.
Okay.
Me either.
It is on Unreal Engine, so it should be good graphics.
Yeah. I say it's got some gameplay videos online, and it looks pretty great to me. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I'm making a note right now to check that out after the show.
Yeah, I Googled it already just to see who developed it, but I'm going to look into it further because I haven't heard of that one. But it does sound pretty entertaining, actually.
Well, I'm glad I got at least one thing interesting for you guys. So,
hey,
I piggybacked on a lot of yours because I was watching a lot of the same stuff.
Right. But that's my geek week. I give it back to you guys.
Hassel, I went before you did last time, so I'll let you go first, sir.
You did. Well, my geek week started Sunday with rewind that. Go back a few steps. It actually started Saturday with the Falcons. Watched them. They beat the old Jags up, so we finished the preseason at 2-1, which is the best preseason the Falcons have had in a few years. Which 2-1 is another brag about. We played the fucking Jets, the Jags, and the Lions. So yeah, we're in for a long season. I got a feeling, but hey, you know what? They kick off on September 11th. So that'll be coming up. I didn't get to do a whole lot this week. Because, like I said, football's back in, so it's what I do. Sunday, I did catch the second episode of House of the Dragon. I'm liking it. I mean, the build seems a lot slower than how Game of Thrones kicked off to me, but Matt Smith, former Doctor Who. Him as Daemon Targaryen, he's a character I think is going to be the one that's going to ease into being my favorite because he's in the first episode you get this vibe like he's just a fucking douchebag. But then I was listening to some of the writers after the show because I always listen to the after show thing. I enjoy that, and they were like, "Well, he's not a bad guy. He's a shades of gray guy, and he's all for his family." But you don't get that vibe in the first episode. But then come the second episode, you're kind of led one way. Because he steals the dragon egg and wants to put it in the crib with his kid, which is the Targaryen tradition. But it was the same egg from his brother's dead baby that just passed in the first episode. So it's kind of he's like nested up in a location that is very, very familiar to Game of Thrones fans. So it's cool to see these things that are like 170 years before Game of Thrones in their prime, so to speak. And some of the things that are still functioning, in the Game of Thrones that was going very strong there. So there's a lot of really cool things going on. And the show it's taking off and it's building interest. So far, I'm a fan. And we've had zero incest so far. So that's a win there. Because Game of Thrones was pretty huge on that. He does have a whore, though, there is that. So I will tell you, you will see Matt Smith boning a whore in episode 1, and you see it. So moving on to Raw. Raw wasn't bad this week. Wasn't nothing to brag about. It wasn't bad. I'm not really digging this little kidnapping angle they're doing with the Miz. Miz is not someone I'm going to build sympathy for. I don't give a shit about seeing him look paranoid. I don't know. I don't really get the character that they're doing that with. What's it, Dexter Loomis? Is that it?
Yeah, I get what they're doing with him, trying to make him a psychopath, but Miz is not a sympathetic character. But I don't even see that part because on the hour and a half version that I get on Hulu, all that's cut out. Like they were showing him when he was messing with AJ, but after he kidnapped Miz, I haven't seen him since.
Well, he shows up again this week. Like they were like wanting Miz to say, "Well, what happened?" And he was like paranoid and. Ciampa's trying to like boost him up because they got a tag match later, and he's getting paranoid. Like he sees him everywhere, and that's how he loses the match. Is he like sees him in the crowd, and they come to find out he's not there. So he hauls ass and gets his little Explorer, goes to leave, and then the light lights up, and he's like sitting in the back seat. It's like, come on, I don't care. How do you make this guy a real stalker when the chick he was stalking on the other show falls in love with him? And that's their dynamic. Is Miz going to fall in love with him now?
Well,
we're going with this.
If you did that and you did it, they were stalking a person together, and like they were going to ritually sacrifice him or something. If that was a storyline, okay, that might make it a little more interesting. But again, Miz is not a sympathetic character. I could care less if you kidnap him and he don't show back up. If he kept messing with AJ,
it might be more there, monster.
Well, why isn't he trying to kidnap Maurice? I mean, if you're going to kidnap somebody, that would be the one to go for. But that's just me.
But what's
the rest
the
of
point
the show
of
is
taking her and then trying to turn Miz face to save her? I mean, nobody's going to buy Miz as a face.
Yeah,
they never have.
That's been a failed attempt twice now. They put Ric Flair with this man and gifted him the figure 4, and it still failed.
Yeah.
So no, that's not for me. I will say AEW was far better this week than it's been in previous weeks, and it was better than Raw, even with Triple H's comeback. And they're starting to have a little back and forth, and Tony Khan is not doing himself any favors at all. He keeps going out there and making apparently WWE tried some contract tampering. So Tony Khan's deal was to go very, very public with it. But in doing so, he looks like a spoiled brat. He's childish looking. He released a statement the other day that when Vince retired and Triple H and Stephanie first took over, he was hopeful for some kind of relationship between the two. Because, he's helped them in the past. He's allowed his superstars to go on there and, do various things. And he was hoping to build a relationship with them moving forward. But then now he said after they disrespected him like they did, they'll never work together. Okay, first of all, you never say never in the wrestling business. But, there's been several people who've come back you never expected to see. And money talks, bullshit walks. So, but now Triple H is throwing jabs back and saying, but yeah, they beat our developmental system. Good for them. So he almost knocks his own product with NXT, but at the same time, it's like he's not fucking wrong. That is their developmental. So it's a very public developmental program, but that's what it is.
But the people who are AEW fans are always going to be AEW fans. You're not going to turn them off, but they're not gaining any new fans either. It's the same niche crowd they've had.
That's the biggest. That's the
WWE
biggest
has mainstream fans, that could care less to watch it all the time. But a live show comes to town. Hey, guess what? 45 celebrities show up because it's a lot and it's mainstream.
Well, look at since Triple H took over. They were under 2 million viewers a week. Now they're like 2.25 million viewers a week again. And USA is extremely happy because that's the numbers they were thinking they were going to get out of the show. They hadn't in a long time. So their viewers grew by 250,000 people. AEW, there's constantly between 900,000 and just a hair over 1.2 million viewers a week. And I think they had 1.25 this week because Funk returned. You had the big match last week, so they kind of was able to build off of that. And I mean, this week's show was good. I will give them that. I mean, the open contract deal with Moxley. Moxley cut a hell of a promo. I mean, Miro is probably the best damn promo they got going right now. It was Christian for a while, but I love the Redeemer character Miro does. I wish they would do a lot more with him. And it's pretty interesting to see him, as an uneasy alliance with Sting and Darby Allin versus the House of Black. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, they did enough to make me almost want to buy this pay-per-view. I'm not going to buy another $50 pay-per-view right now because I don't want to see a rematch with Jon Moxley and CM Punk. I don't give a shit about that.
Well, the other big thing that AEW is really struggling with from what I see is all the backstage stuff because Tony needs to stop going out in public and saying stuff and all of his. He's got a civil war backstage. Everybody's against everybody. You're suspending people for fighting in the backstage, and
man.
And then even the people who are requesting release. I mean, there's rumors that Miro really wants to leave, but Aleister Black, it was publicly put out there that he requested his release this week and was denied.
He requested. He put a public statement out there.
Yeah,
talking about how unhappy he was.
And all of them talk about how great it was to work for Triple H and how he treated him. He'll just run back across the road. I mean, come on.
Well, that's why I really wonder. Is it truly that they're that unhappy there, or they finally see, fuck, the old man's out?
I can go back and make more.
Well, they're probably saying, okay, if these guys are getting pushes, Triple H really loved me. I know I'm going to the damn moon if I go back.
Yeah.
And I think that's some more of what it's going to be with a certain few. They know that under Triple H, they'll have the rocket ship tied to their ass, and because they've seen what Cody done, and that was with Vince. With Vince out of the way to where, you got Triple H he's doing what is best for business, his own quote. Yeah, not to, but because AEW they done a really good job in the beginning with their homegrown talent. They made it, but their biggest thing is you have a big match on Wednesday night. You don't see that character again for 3 damn weeks. By the time you see him again, you don't give a shit about the big match you just had because you didn't build nothing off the heat. You built nothing off the momentum. It's just like, no. Okay.
And you could tell a lot of times, too, the way the stories go, that it's just like, there is no one person giving a driving direction for a story. It's like, okay, you want to do this, so go ahead and do that. Then, 3 segments later, somebody else is doing the exact same or saying that the exact opposite of what you just did about you. It's like, who's writing the actual story? Because there is no cohesive flow here. There's no continuity.
Yeah, I'm a fan of AEW, but I mean, the fan base isn't growing. They're not getting the mainstream fan. They're not. The people that were water cooler talking with WCW and WWE years ago, it's not there. So, but I will move on. Pretty much round up my Geek Week. Had some toy hauls come in. I had another Storm Shadow come in, so I was actually finally able to open Storm Shadow. It's cool as shit. Of course, I had to try him with the hood on, but then I took the little round hood around him off to give it the retro Storm Shadow look. The only thing different from that, I figure once you take the little neck garter off and the retro one is the hands. As he's got, a couple fingers taped up on this one. The retro version does not. So anyone out there who just wants the retro version to have it loose, just go. There's plenty of people on eBay selling odd parts. Someone will be selling those retro Storm Shadow hands on. I promise you. You'll get them for $5.
Well, you might as well consign yourself to opening that if you ordered it anyway from Walmart, because it's going to come in damaged.
This is very true. And that was one of the things, like, I wanted a retro one and I wanted a retro one to open. But then after I opened this one, I started comparing it online. The hands was the only different once you take the neck piece off.
Yeah.
Because it's literally the same.
It's the exact same mold and stuff. They just said they included like some different hands and
I think some of his weapons might be a little
different. Something like
maybe
that.
The pack or something like that. It's very minuscule at best. Got my Asriel Batman in from Mayfix. I'm going to open it today, along with Bengali and Vulture Man. That's some of my haul for the week. Biggest thing, I sent you guys pictures. Pretty fucking stoked about it. My new generation WWF ring and Arena showed up along with Doink and Diesel. I was extremely stoked about that. As I sent a picture, so we'll include that in here somewhere. But I was really happy about that. I got to find somewhere to try to display it because I don't think my family's gonna let me put it on the kitchen counter where I could best utilize it. I'm hoping maybe, but you know. And last but not least, this fucking turd come in. Now, when I bought this, I was extremely psyched because one, the Doc Ock is different than the Marvel Legend Doc Ock, and we got a cool silk figure. I did not realize I was buying a fucking cardboard box. As you see, it is a cardboard box with fucking pictures of the figure on both sides. How do I know that these figures are even in here?
You take it on faith.
Yeah, well, that is the thing right here, and the problem I have with the windowless figures, we're already seeing, and I know you guys have seen them online, where people are taking these things out of the box and the legs are folded all the way to the side. Yeah, I've seen several where that's like one of the most common complaint of the windowless ones. They're just shoving shit in there, and then if you don't buy from an online retailer where you should be okay, you buy from a Walmart, you are taking a huge chance that there's even anything in there, let alone the figure you bought. I mean, yeah, you can shake it and feel, but I mean, hell, it could be the empty bag of chips and soda some stalker had a damn break when he stole your figures. So I mean, I went online. I went to Big Bad Toy Store and I had several figures ordered that were windowless packaging, and I canceled them right away. I said no more. And if it just happens to be one that comes out with a mold that I can't do without, and I just want to open, I may buy one and just open the damn thing. But
yeah,
I'm wondering how many MOCs you're gonna really get out there in the wild anyway, because I mean, one of the followers of our show, he was saying that, you know, he wasn't a fan of this and that he was going to cut the tape in store and verify before he left. And I was like, but you know what I'm saying? Whenever you cut the tape, all those figures fucked up. It goes back on the shelf. Somebody's going to buy that damn figure that's not even MOC, even if they never touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm a big inbox collector. I mean, you see some of them behind me, but I was in the mode where if it's one that I kind of want, but it's not somebody I got to open for display, I would keep it in the box or keep it in the package and hang it up because you can still see the figure in the window. Well, it's changing.
It's very noticeable behind me. You see it.
It's changing my buying habit though because
I have this here too.
I'm not buying them anymore unless I'm opening them from a Marvel Legends standpoint just because of that box and I can't see the figure. So now I have one that I had already pre-ordered and it's already come in, or at least in my pile of loot. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just take that one, which was the Iron Spider-Man. So I bought one to open and one to keep closed like I do the ones that I really want in both versions for a display and for on the wall. But like my future Foundation one, I was just going to keep in the package. And since it's now a full box one, I canceled it because I don't want them on the wall just in the cardboard. Now, if it's a multi-set pack and there's multiples in there, like the Spider-Man has Amazing Friends, I may still buy it and keep it in the whole box because it's like buying a G.I. Joe vehicle or something, right? It's in a box of art. Okay, it's a bigger thing, so I'm fine with that staying in the box. and not being able to see it necessarily. But when it's a single figure, I want to see the window and the open in the window because I'm gonna hang it on the wall and it's like very visible. Well, if it's just art, I don't care.
That's the thing. I mean, like you see, Bret Hart's behind me and the AEW figures and wrestling figures and so forth. I like to put them on the wall. They're cool because sometimes the packaging is pretty neat. Along with the fact that with the window, you can still see him in there. Yeah. It may not be, in an action pose that you want, but they still look pretty cool. Display.
You can visibly see
and
it.
If you want to buy another one to, display loose, you got that opportunity. But with this right here, it's literally a box with just the picture of the figures. Not even like cool deco art. It is pictures of the figures. So I don't give a shit about displaying that at all.
Yeah.
The figures inside.
If they're gonna do that, then like you said, on one side, do something artistic with it. Either give me something that's hand drawn, hand paint or painted, or put it in a scene or something to make it exciting.
Well, see,
even then, I don't want it, but
Well, there are ones like that though that, like, for me being a completionist on like the GI Joe Classified, and I want all the GI Joes, or like on Power Rangers Lightning Collection, those actually have artwork on the box too. That's not just a picture of the figure. So it's like, okay, I can still deal with those being in the box if I'm going to get them.
Like the last several waves of Toy Biz, Marvel Legends, they had a particular artist for each wave, and they were like big artists at the time. They were current artists, and like, okay, you do all the cards for this wave right here. You do all the cards for this wave right here. Okay, if you had something like that where it's an exclusive artist doing it, something that you might take to a con and have an artist sign and say, okay, I can't take this figure out of the box. I can't see this figure. But if, Jim Lee done the fucking art for it and I see him at a con, he can sign my box. It's a look, then maybe, I mean, the question I wanted is, I don't see them staying with this very long because they're going to lose sales. So does that mean that the ones that actually survive still in box, MOC, does the value make them something worth collecting later, or is it a deal where just no one's going to give a shit?
I don't think it'll affect it one way or the other, but I don't think it'll affect their sales. They're going to stay with that packaging. I would almost put you money with a company as big as Hasbro. They're not going to change it just because just because us few peons complain about it. They're not going to change it.
I don't know. It's the collecting community. When they band together, and I'm seeing no one being a fan of this right here. I haven't seen one person yet. I've seen any of the pages I follow.
Well, but a lot of the reviewers that I've seen that are getting them, they're like, I'm not complaining about it. It is what it is. It's okay. And then they just throw it to the side and keep going. So whatever.
No, honestly, I don't believe it's a deal where they're saving the environment anymore. What they're doing with this shit. I think it's more quality control issue. If they don't have that window on there, they can shove what the fuck they want to. They can cut corners on quality that they couldn't cut corners this way.
Yeah,
I think it's more that than the environment issue.
The only environmental thing that's different is it makes it that much quicker just to say, okay, this just goes completely in the cardboard bin, or I got to tear the plastic out and that goes in one direction, one goes in the other, because you can't recycle those together. But I don't see it being enough of a value for them to really get much out of it.
I don't either. And my last and final thing for Geek Week, today's opening day for Georgia football. Go Dogs! Gonna kick some Ducks' ass. And I'm pretty excited. So I turn it over to you, Monster. Give us your Geek Week.
Well, I'll pick up right where you left off on toys. I haven't bought anything new, don't have a new haul, but I did finally ship my pile of loot from Big Bad, and it's about like 17 items in there. Now some of those are Christmas items and birthday items for the kiddo. So, but taking his stuff out of account, there's at least 9 or 10 items in there that are mine. So
I did ship some of mine yesterday. I'm down to 6 items in there. All 6 items are Star Wars black figures. So when I decide to ship the last 6, it's going to be a Star Wars box. I don't even have to open it. I can just kind of push it aside for the time because I know what it is.
Well, I'll have more toy haul stuff on the next episode after I open these. But I had like the Blue Ranger helmet. I had the Power Lance. I got a couple of Star Wars. I got Fire Lord on the retro Fantastic Four card, and so there'll be several things in there. But we'll discuss that some more next time after I get them and actually get a chance to look at them and see how they are. But besides that, my week was really slow just because of all the scheduling I had going on. Before I left town, the one thing I did get to read is I read the 2 big crossover storylines that are going right now in comics, which is the Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, Judgment Day. I don't know. It's the story feels very loose and rushed. It's like, okay, there's been 3 issues so far, and all 3 of those issues happen in the same span of time of like a day, and it's like boom, 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 boom. It's like, well, really? But they're kind of downplaying the X-Men a little bit in it right now for me. I guess the harder part for them is once they die, they have to be resurrected to keep fighting. But the Eternals, if you kill one of those, they're immediately resurrected by their machine, so that they can keep coming at them at a much faster pace. But power-wise, they downplay some of the mutants against some of the Eternals in a power display, and I'm like, some of them, yes, but some of them, like if you're going against Iceman or Magneto, I don't see it being that they're that much more powerful. You know, you put them against Husk or somebody.
Magneto,
maybe.
I seen something online the other day where Magneto, like he was merged up with something else, or
so in X-Men Red, which is one of their X-Men titles, Uranus, who's one of the oldest Eternals, and the one that went mad, and because he wanted to create genocide against Homo sapiens as soon as they started.
That's Thanos' uncle, correct?
Yeah, he was released from prison and sent to wipe out the Iraqi mutants, the ones that are on Mars, because they're more of a warlike race. They're like, well, let's keep them out of the fight. So good strategy, but he wipes out most of them. But when he fights with Magneto, they give it just a minute to make it look like Magneto is, going to hold his own against him for a second. Then he just rips his heart out immediately. But Magneto is still surviving, and his magnetic energy is actually flowing his blood. So he didn't, even losing his heart, he came back. So they made him look bad in the very end. But leading up to it's like, really, you're going to kill off Magneto, and you cut Storm off from the rest of them. So you're trying to take out the Omega level ones, which makes sense. But like when they show their Unimind attacking them, this is the only good point for the mutants is when the Unimind, which is all the Eternals' psychic abilities together, is attacking them. Like it's taking every one of the Eternals who could possibly be a part of that to actually face the X-Men psychics like Jean Grey and Professor X. And Professor X holds it all at bay by itself for a while. I'm like, okay, that was actually pretty impressive. But other than that, they kind of downplay their powers and abilities. It's like they send these large Eternal machines, which are like Titans for them to attack, and most of the X-Men can barely hold their own against them. Cyclops after blast, he's releasing full beams and it's not doing any damage. It's like, really? Come on.
But are there really any real consequences that both can be resurrected?
I don't know where they're going with the story. So in the middle of the story, the few Eternals who are not part of the plot against the mutants, and then the Avengers actually build a new Celestial, like create their own Celestial God, hoping that he'll tell the Eternals to quit because they have to bow down to him as part of their DNA or whatever. And apparently this Eternal decides he's going to judge the entire Earth, and that's kind of where it stops at issue 3 is everybody has to prove their worth, and I'm going to judge you based on, is the majority of this world decent people, or is the majority bad? And if it's bad, I'm going to wipe you all out.
Also, the Avengers just fucked things up.
Yeah.
Well, was it the dead Celestial from the Avengers Mountain?
Parts of it were. Like they harvested parts from that, and they harvested from other Celestials who had been on Earth and left things behind.
So he's a Frankian Celestial?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm not. It's not terrible, but I'm not 100% sold on it yet. The other big crossover, Dark Crisis, is the one for DC. Is kind of, I'm not sold on it. It's really just repetitive. You took all the main heroes out of the way so you can focus on a new generation, and you're telling me that from the get-go, because they're telling you in all these side stories that the old Justice League is not dead. They're just on different Earths. But it's a whole crisis event. It's almost like redoing the first Crisis, but now with a younger generation.
So
I'm not really sold.
The original Justice League just displaced on Earth 2 or some weird shit.
They are all trapped in a dream world of their own making, and supposedly that is what's powering Pariah's machine to create the darkness to destroy the main Earth Prime universe or whatever. It's basically the same as what we've seen in the 7 crises they've already had. So I'm not really into it, but I'm going to keep reading it just to see where it goes. But
this is going to fix everything.
Circling back to your X-Men one, the one thing I would like to see come out of that, if nothing else, I'm a fan for all these cool ass mutants that they killed off in the past. A lot of them were 90s kills just to boost the sale. They'd murder the shit out of 4 or 5 mutants.
Yeah.
And then, the deal with Grant Morrison, he murdered up, like 200 fucking mutants. And some of them, they threw big names in there just to give it some weight. So I'm fine with the fact that they brought these guys back, but I would like to see what the outcome of this be. Don't murder all the damn mutants again, but make it where they can't resurrect anymore. Sever whatever it is they got with Kacker or whatever, and make it where you cannot harvest it and resurrect anyone else going forward, to where there's actually consequences if someone fucking dies. Because you kill Wolverine every 3 fucking issues, or Magneto or whoever, it just gets to the point where it's like, why do I give a shit?
Yeah.
Bring him back.
I don't see him going
later.
I don't see him going back to that anytime soon because they keep talking about where they're going from where they are now in the new status quo, and I'm like, dude, just reboot, just reset it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Immortal deal, but so that's what I will.
Yeah, but while we're talking comics, just one thing else, I did get a chance to pick up some tickets. I'm going to Hamilton Comic Con in Hamilton, Ontario, Toronto area, I should say, up in Canada. I had to go up that way for work. I was supposed to be there like the week before that, and then my work schedule got changed. We had some rescheduling issues, and it got pushed back to the week leading up to that weekend that's happening. I was like, oh, I'm going to be here, and I got to go to my next assignment straight from here anyway. I'm just going to stay through the weekend. Instead of coming home on Friday, turn around, leaving on Sunday, I'm just going to spend Saturday there and go to the Comic-Con. If anyone is in the area, feel free to come by and say hi. Always fun to get to meet and talk to the community.
Monster will have cards and stickers to pass out.
Oh, I've got to pack them up. They're on my list for packing when I get that way. I mean, it's still a few weeks away. It's like the 24th, 25th. It's the last weekend of the month. But I will be there, so if anybody is in the area, feel free to stop by and say hi. Or feel free to say hi if you see me. I won't have a booth, so you ain't got to stop by. But we'll run into each other, I'm sure. But besides that, I've watched a few things. I didn't get to watch a ton of stuff. Al, you already touched on She-Hulk and the Samaritan, so I'll skip those. But the other big thing I watched was Stargirl had the season premiere this week. I did get to watch that. That's actually one of the better of the Arrowverse shows because it's a little more lighthearted and it's a little more, and it shows more like JSA type stuff. So it's really interesting in that effect. But this season premiere was much more. They tried to make it much more comedic than the last 2 season premieres. Now, by the end of it got into the serious part of the storyline, but for 75 to 80% of the show, it was trying to be funny, and it was like, okay, it's decent, but it kind of lost my interest a little bit compared to previous seasons. But it's only 1 episode in, and they may be doing that too to try and keep it lighter and see if they can stay on the show or on the network, because CW has been axing every one of those shows, and the only 2 that have not been officially axed yet is this one and the Superman and Lois.
Because they got balled out, didn't they?
Yeah. And they've axed everything. Flash, they pretty much figured it was coming into an end, but they axed it. Superman and Lois got their next season approved, and I know with one of the main stars of the show is leaving. Like one of the kids that plays their children is not coming back to the show next year. So I don't know if it'll stay another one. The Stargirl, they don't have any determination on it, but this is just the start of season 3, and I read an article yesterday before I watched it that they're not sure if they don't expect to have any idea on what season 4 possibility looks like until probably midway through this one. So it'll be a while, but they didn't say they weren't hopeful, but they didn't say they were hopeful either. It's kind of like we don't really know. Besides that, today is National Cinema Day. We are recording on September 3rd. And the only reason I know this is because our theater here is $3 movies all day long, no matter showtime or format. So we have like a triple header this evening for movies for stuff that we just have not caught and watched yet. So I think we're going to see League of Super Pets, Dragon Ball Superhero, and Bullet Train maybe. I tried to fit Spider-Man No Way Home, the reissue, in there, but I just couldn't make it work. And then same with Top Gun Maverick. I was like, well, we haven't seen those in theaters, but for $3 per ticket for each of us, it wasn't that bad for me and the kids. Like $28 for the entire day after taxes. So
you'll spend more on concessions on the first movie than you will the rest of the shit.
And that's the greatest thing is the concessions for the first movie. If you buy the large popcorn and the large drink, they're refillable the whole time you're at the theater. So,
are you really going to want more popcorn by the second movie?
Me no, but him there's no telling. But with that was really all of my Geek Week. And we do have a very big focus topic, so we're just going to move right into it this week. This came from a fan of the show as we reached out and asked for.
Chris Daly, the host of Fueled by Weird. He does a podcast himself, so that's where the idea come from. So
he shared this idea with us, and we asked for fans last time, hey, what would you like to hear about? And this one comes out as we're going to book the SuperMania Card of Wrestling. Now, I will not lie to you because my assignment, I didn't have a whole lot of time to do a lot of booking. I know Big Rob and Hassel did, and we're going to debate back and forth and set the matches up as we go through as an entire unit. But also feel free to chime in with any of your thoughts in the comments below if you have thoughts on what we're booking and any ideas outside of ours. I don't even remember all the criteria, so Hassel or Big Rob, we'll let one of you introduce that, and then we'll just go straight into it from there.
Well, seeing as we are booking up SuperMania, I feel like this is going to have to come live from the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, Georgia, representing, baby. So we got a big event there. We will have a women's championship match. Well, okay, let's go ahead and lay the law now. This is going to basically be the super show that we should have got back in 2002. So am I correct? 2001, 2002. It's the versus show we should have got. So on one side, you have all stars. Well, both sides. All stars from any era, living, dead, current. And it's going to be a NWA/WCW versus WWF/WWE. The mega card you always wanted, full of dream matches. And the parameters are we have 8 matches. You have women's champion versus women's champion, hardcore versus hardcore, television champion versus European champion, a U.S. champion versus intercontinental champion. You have cruiserweight versus cruiserweight. I'm missing some stuff. The biggie will obviously be the tag team versus tag team and WWF champion versus WCW champion. And then the bonus match, a dream match. The biggest rules are if we say, we're booking this on the fly as we go. If we choose Mean Mark to represent WCW in the hardcore match, he cannot be the Undertaker later in the card. Or if Cactus Jack is battling for the television championship, he cannot be Mankind later. So we got this is where the interesting aspect of it comes. What side of the table do the guys fall on?
One persona or one version of each person that's involved. They can't be replicated because they can't have more than one match.
Very much so. So with that being said, guys,
I did want to throw out. We did say, just to make sure I'm remembering correctly, even though it is WCW and WA versus WWE, WWF, it can be wrestlers from any promotion.
Yes.
Alive or dead or anything.
They can be New Japan guys, AEW, Ring of Honor, TNA, Impact, or however you want to refer to them. And we will decide what brand they want to land on.
Yeah, and because remember, a lot of these folks have traversed back and forth between brands. And when you had the NWA and you had territories, and even today with AEW and Ring of Honor, that there are connections between all these promotions. So open to anybody that we choose to use.
We control all the contracts today.
We control the horizontal and the vertical, and Big Rob will get that reference.
I actually got that one.
You weren't on here yet when he was having trouble with his camera going vertical and horizontal. I was like, you control the horizontal and the vertical today, sir.
I thought we just went outer limits on it for
That's where I stole it from, but Big Rob was the outer limits today. His camera was just swapping back and forth when we first got on here.
I'm glad you guys got to do the test show then. So that being said, guys, what's the curtain jerker? how do we lay the ground? Do we come out swinging? Do we start with I don't want to say lower tier match, but so what do we do?
Since these are all titles, I don't know if you can call any of them lower tier matches, but to me, I think you got to start the show with something exciting enough to get the people interested. This is just personal opinion of Monster, but I go for a cruiserweight match first. Okay. Cruiserweight titles.
So we start out with the cruiserweights.
Everybody good with that, or?
I'm down with that. All right.
I'm okay with that.
We did say champion versus champions, but however, to let everyone know, they can be triple threats, fatal four-way, six-pack challenges, elimination chambers, however we want to do this. So, what kind of match is this cruiserweight match before we ever start deciding on the participants? Or do we go just straight up, you just balls out cruiserweights?
Ooh.
I think for cruiserweight, because of the style of match that it is, I think just a straight up cruiserweight match is okay, for my personal opinion.
What about a ladder match?
That's honestly, I was thinking either just a one-on-one or a straight up ladder match, because the cruiserweights would be able to pull off some great high flying moves and just really draw you to. And while I'm not a huge fan of everybody doing flips and stunts, the smaller guys, it looks great when they do it because they can do it so fluidly. So
now the only tweak I can see with maybe Ultimate X when that first came out, that was actually a really great concept.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So do we want to make this a ladder match or an Ultimate X?
I don't know. I'm more inclined for the ladder match, but I'll go with whatever you guys want to do.
I'm down.
I'll vote ladder match too.
Okay. So we got a cruiserweight ladder match to start the show. 1-on-1, or do we make this like a Money in the Bank?
I think you do at least 4.
Okay. Rob?
Yeah, I'm okay with 4.
Okay, so we have a ladder man four-man ladder match for the cruiserweight championships. And well, you know what? Fuck it. Well, it can be winner take all. We'll do it that way. Fuck it. Why not? So, who are our participants and who are the champions walking into this?
Oh man, I ran into the mic there. Sorry for the loud noise. I think you have to. One of them has to be Rey Mysterio.
Ooh,
I don't know how you have a cruiserweight title match like that of this magnitude without him in it.
So how about Rey, and he is our WCW cruiserweight champion?
All right.
Sure.
Okay. So we got Rey Mysterio down, and he's WCW champ. And once we set the parameters of the match, we'll come back at the end of the show, and then we'll decide who's going up and who's going down. What about an Ultimo Dragon?
Oh, I used to love him.
I mean, that guy just, to me, he just could pull some stuff out. So are we cool with? What if he's our WWE lightweight champion? He has some great matches on both brands, actually. Yeah, I mean,
I can go with that because I struggle to find too many more in WWE that stand out to me from their lighter or cruiserweight divisions.
Yeah, because when Vince did do that right there, he kind of, for lack of a better word, he found these little 125-pound guys, and he didn't push them.
No,
he didn't put a lot of emphasis in there.
No, I can only think of one more that even stands out to me from their crew, to be perfectly honest, and that's Brian Kendrick, and I'm not sure that he's really good enough to pull off this match. I don't think he's a guy that winds up on the card of all cards. No.
The great granddaddy of them all. So Ultimo is our lightweight champion. Is that
all right? So we got Ultimo and we got Rey.
Okay, we need 2 more guys.
All right, I got 2 names for you. You don't have to take either one of them, but I got 2 names. One of them's serious, and one of them's just a fan favorite. The serious name, the king of the Money in the Bank ladders, Shelton Benjamin, the gold standard.
Ooh.
And then my fan favorite, Jimmy Wayne Yang, the cowboy.
I thought you were going to go Sharp Boy on me.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, no.
Hell yeah.
So Shelton's an interesting one. I had a couple other names to throw out there, and again, we can debate these, but Dean Malenko is always, and I know he's not more of a ladder one; he's more of a submission, but you got to have somebody in there to me that can do something besides just the flips and stuff.
But a guy like him that works the legs keeps the guys from climbing the ladder.
Yeah, and then we may prefer to use him somewhere later on, but Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie and Ray had some
lies
wars
still,
in the
baby.
division. Yeah, they had some wars. I don't know. I almost feel like we want to save Eddie for like the U.S. Intercontinental deal.
And I'm fine with that because I think he fits somewhere on here. I think he has.
He has to make this card. He has to make this card. I'm definitely cool with Shelton, 110%. Dean Malenko, I'm really good with. The only other ones that kind of stick out to me a little bit, and it just literally escaped me time I said it. A Penta Zero would look amazing. I would love to see a match with him, Ultimate Dragon Ray Mysterio. That would be super cool. Aesthetically, if nothing else, that would be pretty bueno. And
well, if you do Penta, you got to do Phoenix too.
You could have the clash there of the brothers. Do they band together or do they battle like hell?
But at the same time, Phoenix botches so much stuff he tries to pull off.
He does.
That's true.
Because I think about him, I think about Pac or Neville or whatever you want to call him. He botches so much stuff he tries to pull off too, or he takes so long to set it up.
Well, why don't we go with
Dean
and Shelton? Or do you have somebody else, Rob?
I thought of somebody else, but that's okay. I like Dean and Shelton.
Yeah, I had one more pop in my head, but I don't think he makes this. But he would be a great high flyer. Would be Kofi.
Oh, yeah, he has some great spots in ladder matches.
Kofi was great. I was going to say King Ricochet.
Now we're peeling the layers of the onion back, guys.
Ricochet's got some awesome moves. I'll tell you who else though in a ladder match, and I won't regret throwing this out there later. But Jeff Hardy. If you need a spot monkey, you got several you could use for that.
But I feel like we're going to need him come tag team time, depending on what we go with. Okay, I think Kofi would be great in this. And he's a good representative of the WWE.
Yeah.
So are we penciling Kofi in?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, we got Kofi Kingston. And who makes the final slot?
We can put Dean Malenko in because, like you said, you need somebody to work the legs and keep people from climbing the ladder.
Okay. He is the man of 1,000 and holds.
Yes, sir.
Jericho's got him by one.
By one.
That night he read the list of holds. That's still one of his best promos when he was actually decent.
Okay, so we got a hell of a kickoff right here. Moving on to match 2. Where do we go from there? What will be our next? Because that is going to be hard to follow this match right here. Is this where we maybe pencil in the women's match? And I'm not disparaging ladies. That's not what I'm saying here. However, I'm just saying. It's going to be hard to follow this match, no matter what you do.
It is. I don't think you can do
hard. Yeah.
I don't think you can do hardcore next because you're coming off a ladder match. You don't need that much more violence right away. If it's not the women's, to me, it's got to be the European. And was it European versus TV title?
Yeah, that would be a great one. Okay. So we got World's Television Champion versus European. All right. So what kind of match is this? We just had a gimmick match. So do we want another gimmick match, or do we just say, we want an actual within the parameters of the World Television Championship? You got to put them in a time limit.
I think
one-on-one, so to speak.
I think it's just a regular match to me. I don't know if I go gimmick with this one.
So we say a one-on-one. We'll start with the World Television Champion. Who is our World Television Champion?
That I am stuck on. I'm gonna let you guys pick or throw out names.
The name that comes out to me is Arn Anderson. He is almost synonymous with that title. Either him or Booker T. Booker, because Booker T and Benoit had a great best of 7 for that title.
Oh, is that? I thought for some reason I was thinking that was a U.S. title they had that for.
It was the television
TV?
championship. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was when Booker first started getting his big push. But then again, do you want to save Booker for Harlem Heat?
I don't think so. Harlem Heat, while a good tag team, I don't think they break the top 5 tag teams.
Ice. Cold.
I don't think they break that top level for me. I would actually rather see Booker T in something like this with a TV title.
Okay, what you got, Rob?
I literally could not name one TV champion if you put a gun to my head, so I'm just going to go with what you guys say.
However, I'm cool with Booker T being our World Television Champion.
Sure.
To represent the W. So, moving on to European Champion. Now, I'm just going to say this. There has not been a lot of great European champions.
No,
D'Lo Brown.
They did not do that bill any justice after Daly lost it to Sean, because it became a joke literally each time Sean got the belt. So let's say we'll give the belt credibility, and it can be someone you maybe felt was a great champion for the European title, or maybe someone you thought would have done it justice.
Let's do this real quick. Let's define. So you know that your IC and US titles are basically your secondary, right? They're your mid-card title, right?
The next guy.
So this would be your tertiary title, or the people that you're willing to move on eventually to that IC and US title reign. So if that's the case, then there's a lot of names that could potentially be in contention to be a European champion that might have never been.
I'm gonna throw a name out here.
I agree with it.
And this is actually just a what if, so to speak. MJF. Just because, and the reason I put him with the WWF is because, it's been rumored he wants to go there any fucking way. He's not really where he needs to be to be in an intercontinental match at this magnitude, to me. He's a hell of a promo. He's really good in the ring. But this could be a launching pad for him. To me. That's just a what-if scenario I was throwing out there. So.
It's not a bad name for contention. I'm trying to think of anybody else I think that could use the rub of being in that position or has been and just never got to go any further. I don't know.
I mean, as far as good European champions, you had Daly, obviously, and at that time he could actually go. Which, you could have robbed the younger version. I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, but if you talk stuff like David, you could say Owen Hart or anybody else in there too.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. You got Owen Hart was a good one. You had Kurt Angle held the title. Chris Benoit held the title. There were Eddie Guerrero. There were some good. Hell, even Diamond Dallas Page that was the last major championship he ever held.
Dude, I'll be honest. For me, I'd like to see this be the next phase of the Booker T versus Chris Benoit of it.
The finals of a best of 7, maybe.
Oh, that would actually be pretty good. That was a good series they had anyway.
So we say Chris Benoit's the European champion?
I'm all right with that, unless you guys got something else.
I'm actually really cool with that. Anytime you got Chris Benoit and Booker T, that's money.
The only other thing I could think is if we changed it to Chris Benoit versus Eddie for these with this match, because that would be impressive to see too.
So do we want Chris to be the television champion and Eddie to be the European champion?
Dude, I would watch that.
I really don't remember Eddie with the television championship. Honestly, I know he was a U.S. champion and cruiserweight.
I don't
recall him being a television champion.
I don't remember him either.
So we're scratching Booker on Chris Eddie.
What was that, Rob?
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think the Chris Eddie title, Chris Eddie match, I can't talk today. I'm sorry. Would be an amazing match, and I would watch that in a heartbeat. I did want to raise this though, and you guys tell me which way you want to go. I'm fine. I'll go with this. If we limit ourselves to only previous champions, I kind of feel like we're limiting ourselves a lot. I think if we're gonna do our ultimate super card, I think you should be able to put the belt on whoever you want to. But that's just me.
No,
I mean, like you brought up MJF a minute ago.
I agree with you. I'm just trying to think of people who would fit that level. That
right.
I think also this match could have been the IC versus US title match, because they would be at that level when you consider all time greats and stuff. They would be at that level or even higher. But I'm not sure that I would pick them over some other people in those positions for those belts. That's the only reason I threw them out right here.
Right. That's cool with me.
There's always the layer of. Well, we could always do the layer of television champion versus European champion versus TNT champion, and MJF be the TNT champion.
No, I don't have a problem with that.
It is SuperMania.
I don't have a problem with that being a triple threat.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Something it's not gimmicky. It would be a wrestling match, and that could follow what just come before. And those three could probably.
Well, they'd have a great build to it as well.
Oh God, can you imagine the promos with them three? Holy shit! Ooh. Okay.
And you'd have to get a moment of Eddie trying to lie, cheat, and steal it from MJF, because to see MJF's reaction to Eddie hitting the chair on the ground, throwing it to him, and laying down like he's been knocked out would be hilarious.
Dude, I watched a clip of those the other day, like with some of him and Ray going back and forth, and like the ones that would backfire is the best. Like when Eddie would get away with it 2 or 3 times, and finally with like the face would get over on him. He's like, no, just. His reaction.
That or when he was the face and would do it, and the ref would be getting on to him, and he'd just be laying over there posing like he's doing a photo shoot or something.
All right, so we got Benoit, this World Television Champion. We got Eddie G, this European Champion, versus MJF as Television Champion, TNT Champion. I apologize.
I can see that. That would be a good match.
Okay. Moving on to the third one. What do you have at this point?
I think you either
is this where you want to have your tag match? I mean, we still got a lot of title for titles. So, I mean, the tags could wait till later. That's fine.
If it's not the tag, it's got to be either your dream match or your women's match. It's got to be one of those three to me. I think you have those, and then you have one of those.
I'm thinking maybe your women's match here, and then your dream match, and then some big spectacle, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you got to have between your IC and US title and your world title, you got to have one of those three matches in between those, because you got to go up and down a little bit, at least to me.
Yeah.
So I'm fine.
We want to go women's match here.
I'm all right with that.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Who is our WWF Women's Champion?
I gotta go Charlotte Flair.
Ooh. Not big time Bex.
I don't have a problem with either one of them holding either title.
Actually, I wouldn't want big time Bex. If I were going to go Becky Lynch, I'm going the man Becky Lynch that beat Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I think either one of them could hold either title.
What you got, Rob?
I agree with Monster. I agree with both you and Monster. I think either one of those ladies will be great, but I'm still a huge mark for the man, Becky Lynch. So that's got to be my vote.
Let's put her as WWE champion then.
But then so we're putting Becky as WWE champion, we're saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
So who do we have for WCW Females Champion? They didn't ever have a long lineage of great female wrestlers. You had Medusa, obviously. But I'm going to throw a wild card in there. because I am a huge, huge mark for this chick. She is actually, to me, she's the best in the business today. I'm going to go Britt Baker, DMD. And I can see her getting WCW.
I had the Good Doctor down as well in my notes, but I mean, do you want to have her? No, yeah, we can't have every match be a triple threat match. So
I thought about
Yeah.
that. Like, oh, you could always have a triple threat, but I mean, we just had one. I mean, so on the heels of each other, that's like that may make me go take a piss. Honestly.
Yeah, I would say this just be either a regular match. Yeah.
okay, so I would agree with you on the Good Doctor.
Who you got, Monster?
I'm fine with Britt Baker. I prefer Charlotte over her, but then again, you're just rehashing a WWE rivalry for the entire thing.
That's the only thing about Charlotte and her. Charlotte is, and I'm not taking nothing away from Charlotte. She is a great, great performer. But how many times can you watch those two go back and forth? I mean,
I think
she would be a shoe in for WCW just for the lineage of her family.
Oh yeah. You know, I think overall she's a better performer in ring than either one of those two. But I don't think she has the same amount of charisma as Becky does.
Okay, how about this then? Britt Baker is the WCW champion. Charlotte is a special guest referee.
I'm fine with just Becky versus Britt just to have a regular match in there without any kind of stipulations and stuff. Because I'm sure some of the other stuff will have stipulations of some sort to it.
This is true. This is true. It's going to get deep.
So
we got Becky Lynch versus Britt Baker.
Is that our fourth match or our third?
That is our third. So we're on to the fourth. This mid card.
Okay.
This is where we want our dream match.
It's either got to be, to me, dream match or if this is where either you got to come back up to IC versus US, or this has got to be dream match and then put that and then have tag team.
Well, we have the US title match, tag team titles, the hardcore titles.
I forgot about hardcore.
Dream match, and then the two big world championships. Has there been enough break in there with these two regular matches to have a hardcore match here? Because you don't want to have that too late in the show, anyways.
Yeah,
I don't feel like.
I'm good with that here. Are you good with that here, Rob?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we got hardcore championships. Who is our WCW hardcore champion?
La Parka. No, I'm just kidding.
It's fucked up.
Well, somewhere in here to me, you got to have Mankind be or Mick Foley be one of his faces.
I was just thinking Cactus Jack. But does Cactus Jack represent the WCW or the WWF?
Guess that depends on who you want the opponent to be.
It's true.
Because I mean, if I'm thinking hardcore people, I go back to Terry Funk. I could loop Undertaker in there, even though he wasn't really hardcore, just for the matches that him and Foley did have. Who else?
What about one of the Kings of the Death match? Great Muta.
I'm all right with Muta. I like Muta. Thought you were finna say Mox there. Someone else finna tell you hell no.
No, not that.
Wait, now.
Fairy tale death match shit. I'm talking about the real exploding barbed wire.
You don't want the sparklers. You want the actual fireworks.
I won't send skin. I can see Muta is our WCW hardcore
Sabu. Talk hardcore. Sabu, Sandman.
Genocidal. Suicidal.
Yeah. Abdullah the Butcher.
We met him, and they did a Chinese restaurant.
I don't know. Muta is a good one from a WCW side.
What you got, Rob?
I'm okay with that. Honestly, what I had wrote down was ECW era Tommy Dreamer.
Ooh.
That's a good
I
one.
mean, he's fat and out of shape now, but man, during ECW's heyday, that was a crazy mofo.
But wouldn't he be more suited for the WWF hardcore title?
Well, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
So are we kind of like looking at Muda Dreamer?
That's fine.
I can watch
I
that.
mean, is there anybody else you guys can think of as a better WWE hardcore champion? I mean, they had some pretty good moments there.
Yeah.
The title was never considered. It was never really taken as seriously as it should have been. I always like that's one thing I will say about ECW that their matches were hardcore, but they took the championships seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Dreamer.
I'm
For me, Dreamer and Foley are the two that I would look at there. And then on the other side, it would be between Muda and Terry Funk, probably.
Man, why couldn't this be a hardcore tag match? God.
It can be.
Ooh.
You're booking your own card.
But we've never
It could
had
be.
hardcore tag team. Oh, okay, hold on. Let's go back to the onion. What if this is for the first ever hardcore tag team championships?
Oh, well, how about this instead, since it is hardcore?
Okay.
Match stipulation. Whichever tag team wins the tag team portion, then have to fight each other for the actual hardcore belts.
oh,
Because that makes
I like
hardcore much
that.
worse. That's going to be a
Okay, I like
grueling ass match.
So let's do 3 teams. And then it'll be narrowed down to the 1-on-1. So how about this?
And it continues from right there. It doesn't stop, take a break, come back. No, as soon as one tag team wins, they have to now face each other. So you got to work together and then fight.
What about Muda Funk versus Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, versus Mankind and Taz?
I like all those except Taz. I like Taz, but I don't know if he sticks out to me for this. I'm good with all the rest of those. Oh, who else?
Who would be good with Mankind? Or do we want him as Cactus Jack here? I mean, I'm thinking he's representing WWF. I mean, but he done well with both. So
I think you go with Mankind. If he's Cactus Jack, to me, he stands out more with Terry Funk. Then. Yeah. Ooh. Man,
I will say this, and you guys laughed at it a while ago, and I will not say that the death match that he's been in has been good, John Moxley, but I think if you put him in there with the right people, I think he's crazy enough to pull off a good match.
You know what? Him and Mankind together could be a good fit, and then if they were to take it to the final, that will be interesting.
That's just
Moxley does kind of come off as a modern day Mick Foley, and a lot because he's just not scared to take some ridiculous bumps. I think the corners they cut maybe was more Omega than him, but
I could get behind this. I could watch this.
Okay, so we got Muda Funk. Mankind. Is he Ambrose or Moxley here?
Moxley.
Moxley's a better character than Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose is the most forgettable thing ever.
He was the third best guy in his group, and that was a recurring theme.
And Sabu and Dreamer.
And that included a group of Seth Rollins, so you know.
That's a hell of a match there, guys. I'll be honest. That's
gonna be that's a barn burner one there.
I put lead in my pencil.
I feel like they're gonna have to change the ring out after this because it's gonna be too covered in blood, thumbtacks, and Legos.
Yeah. There will be blood, and it will be sopping. Ooh. All right, guys. So we are at the dream match 5. This is where it really gets interesting because these are guys that don't need to be part of a title match. They don't have to be involved in it. So is this a dream one-on-one? Is this a dream tag match? A la like when the Mega Powers first formed. Or is it just a dream gimmick match that's wild? So
Survivor Series style.
I'll leave the floor to you guys and kick it out.
I like a Survivor Series or War Games style for this. I less like the War Games for the cage because we just had such a hardcore match. But Survivor Series style, 5 people from one side versus 5 from the other. You got to eliminate down to the last standing member. I don't know for something like this because it is like inter-company versus. I kind of like that idea. That's just me.
So it's kind of like Team WCW versus Team WWF.
Yeah, I kind of see it that way. I mean, at least in my head. But that's just one opinion. So I don't know what you guys had in mind.
Well, I like that. I don't think if you feel the teams, you got to make sure that's guys they're not wanting to use later for the title matches we have remaining.
Yeah, of course. And I've got a few people I would throw out here for this that I don't think need to be in the final title matches, honestly.
I mean, that's a great idea, but I mean, you've already got in the real world Survivor Series. This is a dream match, your chance to go insane, pull anybody from anywhere, any gimmick, anything. I almost want to say go back crap crazy with who you're picking. Not saying that the match has to be crazy because you just had the hardcore match. But
well, I mean, the easiest thing to do, or the most easy one to throw out there is one everyone's thought there for years would be Sting Taker, maybe in a Hell in a Cell or something like that. But it is hard to not want to have that Survivor or the team deal. So that's the biggest challenge of the dream match. What is the biggest dream match?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, for me, I want to finally see the Demon versus the Fiend. I don't need any extra gimmicks other than their characters. I don't need any cages or anything like that. But we never got to see it. And now that the Fiend, Bray Wyatt's not with WWE right now, of course, that may change. But we never got to see it. They built up to it, and we never saw it. And it's 2 crazy supernatural characters. And for me, at least, both of those characters were amazing characters. So that's my dream match.
That's actually really good, Al. That's really good.
I'll tell you my other one, because this one's a dream match too. The Honky Tonk Man, Jeff Jarrett, Elias, and Rick Boogs in a guitar on a pole match.
You forgot Rockabilly.
Damn it, I knew I was forgetting somebody and I couldn't come up with it. I was writing that shit down at 1 o'clock this morning, okay?
You just set the bar here with that first match.
And you took it down to here.
Ooh. I don't want to pick my pen up or I go further, but I'm just saying. Ooh.
I like to set your expectations here and then just completely destroy them.
It's almost like you got us up on the ladder with a noose around it, then you kick that fucker out. And it's like,
yeah, for real.
So we have
right,
3 ways to go here. So which way do we feel is the best suited? I ain't gonna lie. Well, mine was the Sting Taker just because that's the ultimate WCW WWF match we never got, other than when Sting kicked me Mark's ass a few times. Just saying, but when they progressed and became real characters, but I'm not gonna lie, the Fiend and Demon does intrigue the shit out of me.
Well, if you do a fully supernatural fatal 4-way.
Ooh.
Who else you got?
Demon, Fiend, Kane, and Undertaker. Or you swap Kane out for Sting.
I would have to swap Kane out with Sting.
If you go with Crow, Sting, then that's close enough to supernatural. I mean, the other 3 are fully supernatural.
Yeah, because if you got Kane in there, it just feels like it's all WWF. Honestly,
that's true.
But Fiend, I could see with WCW because I mean, the Return of the Family and the Wyndham family have roots there.
Yeah.
So I can see him and Sting representing WCW, even though it's a fatal 4-way.
Right.
And then Taker and the Demon. That would be a very interesting match, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a shorter match, but the entrances are going to take up most of the time.
Yeah, the 20-minute entrances would be worth the price of admission in itself.
Yeah.
So
have
do we have
somebody-
I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually had Sting and Undertaker, but I had them for my dream title holder matches. So I mean,
Well,
but if you guys want to put them in here, that fits too.
That's the other thing I was actually thinking too is how do you almost not have a WCW championship match with Sting, the face of WCW? Maybe that's our title match. So that could be debated later, but I'm just saying maybe that could be.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean that's why I didn't want to put
not just
Undertaker
the
and Sting in
dream,
there
not just the
too
dream
early.
match, but the face of each company's.
Yeah,
Right.
I can see that. My only other person I could pick for that would be if you're not going to use Sting in that role, then Ric Flair has to hold the WCW belt to me.
Yeah. No.
Because Four Horsemen Flair with a WCW belt is
He was a bad boy. Bad boy.
True.
So, let's stick with Fiend and Demon.
I'm good with that.
I really like that. So WW Fiend, WWF Demon. Well, that'd be pretty cool. Okay, so now we are down to the nitty gritty. We have the USIC title match left, the tag titles, and then the big one, champion versus champion.
I think we go USIC here.
So you kind of want that? Well, you know what? That's probably actually be better because you got a singles match, then the tag match to break that up, and then the big one.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we got US. I see. Who is our Intercontinental Champion?
I got to go with either Shawn or Brett. One of the two.
Rob, what you got?
Ultimate Warrior. Ultimate Warrior.
I mean, how do you throw Warrior out before the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time? The Honky Tonk Man. I mean, damn, you just threw him out.
He threw Honky Tonk Man earlier. He didn't do it. He threw Honky Tonk Man already.
Earlier. I mean, yeah.
On a guitar on a pole match for the IC title. Lord have mercy.
But you could always throw out the assistant manager, Jeff Jarrett. He was about a 7-8 time, or Chris Jericho.
If we go Y2J edition, I'm okay with that. I don't want this leatherback Jericho that we got now.
I'm actually really good with Brad as IC champion.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
If we can find somebody, so let's put it this way: if we had somebody what if this was a submission match only?
Ooh.
Now, who would you put on the other side against Brett? Because there's a lot of people that would be good for this.
And there's been some really great WCW US champions too. Or not a submission match. I almost threw Nikita Koloff there because he was a great US champion.
He was, but I don't know if he has enough. To me, I don't know if he has enough name recognition over time to. I mean, he was great for his time, but
Well, he walked away too soon.
Yeah.
Okay. What about another great U.S. champion? The American Dream, Dustin Rhodes, baby. But if it's a submission match, I kind of.
And I just threw that out there. It doesn't have to be.
I actually like that. I was earlier thinking about where the women's match being a submission match. Honestly,
I was thinking an I Quit or a submission somewhere in here, so that because you got some big name people going against you, so somebody's got to give up at some point.
So let's make this an I Quit match. I like that. Are we good with that?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Okay, we got I Quit match for the U.S. and Intercontinental Championships. So, are we still sticking with Brett as IC champion?
I think so. I think he fits this match to me. I mean, he could have been in a world title match, but I think you got other names that are just going to pop up that would overrule him in this.
Yeah, because there's so many faces of the company.
Yeah.
Okay. We could always have Stone Cold Steve Austin as U.S. champion. He held that title. He was in WCW. And them two had one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history.
If you don't need him in the world title match, that's a great one, because you remember the I Quit match where and he just passed out.
Yeah, there was no holds barred, but yeah.
Was it no? I thought it was I Quit for some reason.
There was no holds barred. He passed out in the sharpshooter, and they done the double turn. But we do still have tag matches and so forth and so on.
Yeah. So if you're not using Heart Foundation or Stunning or Hollywood Blondes, then I'm fine with these two in this match.
And the Hollywood Blondes.
And if you're not using Stone Cold in your ultimate main event, Rob, what did you have?
No, honestly, my other one was Jericho from back in the day.
Y2J Jericho.
Yeah, but I'm okay with Brett versus Stone Cold. I have no issues with that. I would watch that all day long.
I could watch either one of those because if you had Jericho, that would be two of the Heart Dungeon graduates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ric Flair was a U.S. champion too.
Figure 4 versus the Sharpshooter.
Sharpshooter in an I Quit match. Got Kurt Angle.
That might be interesting.
Oh, Kurt Angle and Brett would actually be really good.
That to me, that is a dream match in itself.
Yeah, because I can see Rick selling for what Brett did, because he was too serious. His selling doesn't match up. I mean, yeah, Sean I know sold a lot for Brett, but it looked more natural. Rick doing it would look a little goofy against Brett to me.
This could be a Kurt Angle as U.S. champion versus Brett IC champion in an I Quit match. That could be a very gritty, fast-paced, just. I think it would be right up there with Benoit Angle's Rumble match.
Yeah. Actually, I like that.
I think that would be amazing.
Mr. Angle is the U.S. champion. All right,
I'm a little sad I didn't think of that.
This is why Vince should have hired me by now.
Oh, you notice only he's getting hired. We're getting left behind here, Big Rob.
No, you'll be part of my creative team. You're part of my creative team.
I could create a lot of shit in the bathroom.
Yeah, no kidding.
Take that how you want it.
I do on a regular basis.
I make fun saying it like that, but think about how many shower ideas you come up with. You wake up and you go straight to the shower, and then you're like, oh, I had this idea for this, or this for work, or this. Dude.
So we are now into the final two matches. It's the tag team championships. WCW versus WWF. So.
See, this is a hard one for me because I like tag teams, but there's certain ones I think name recognition fall into this for me is Legion of Doom, Steiner Brothers.
Midnight
we've already
Express.
used. Midnight Express. We've already used Brett, so I can't say the Heart Foundation. Oh,
I was just sticking with WCW at the moment. There's a shit ton of tags is just, man, Dynamite. I almost recommended Dynamite for our ladder match earlier.
I thought about that too.
Just because, man, if he had stayed healthy, you imagine the match he could have had with some cruiserweights? Holy shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I like Legion of Doom the most, though. But that's.
You can't have we cannot have a dream tag match without having the Legion of Doom. And to me, they're WCW Tag Team Champion.
I just based on number of title wins and stuff alone, I honestly see them versus the Dudleys, and I'm not even a huge Dudley fans. But dude, the amount of titles that both of those teams held.
That's wow. You know, it'll be a good wild card if you had a. And I don't want to do it just because we've already had a triple threat tag match in our hardcore. You throw beer money in there with them.
I hadn't even thought about them.
They were actually a very underrated tag team to me, but it's kind of hard to speak tag team wrestling and not have the Road Warriors and Dudleys, though.
Yeah.
What you got, Rob?
So I kind of went a completely different direction because when I was doing this, my tag team match was earlier on the card, and I love tag teams too. And I honestly had a tag team battle royale with, like, give me a second because this is a list. I had this written down: Road Warriors, the Steiners, the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, Private Party, Eminem, America's Most Wanted, the APA, the Usos, Pentagon and Phoenix, and the Fabulous Freebirds.
Ooh. Holy shit.
But again, I had that a lot earlier in the card, too.
Dude, what if you took some of those names and made this a gauntlet match?
I've never been big on gauntlet matches because
Really?
you just know starting the match. If you start, it's very damn rare that person's going to go. So the best tag team or even wrestler, you just know they're only going to make it so far. And typically, whoever comes out around last typically is who goes over.
I kind of like the Battle Royale idea because I almost said for the dream match, like a mini Royal Rumble or a Battle Royale of some kind.
Yeah.
Because you could get a lot of names in there that should be on the card that you're not going to get outside of that, right? And Al, how'd you miss the Brain Busters?
Man, didn't you though?
You pulled out
sorry.
Penta and Phoenix and you missed the Brain Busters.
Run down that list one more time for me, Al.
Okay, Road Warriors, the Steiners, the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, Private Party, Eminem, because I love Johnny Nitro, the Freebirds, the APA, the Usos, Pentagon and Phoenix, and America's Most Wanted.
I'm fine with that match if we can change the Midnight Express or FTR1 for Private Party.
I would, yeah. If we could change some, there's a couple others I'd change out too, but I would take Beer Money instead of America's Most Wanted.
I'm fine with either of those. I like both of those combinations. They were both great tag teams, and Beer Money is a little more entertaining to me than America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
America's Most Wanted, they just seem like a lot more pure tag team.
That's true.
Right. I'm okay with either one too, and I'm definitely okay with adding the Midnight Express in. I just honestly forgot about them. I mean, if you guys want to take Private Party out, that's fine. I just think they're very exciting and very interesting. But you know, I'm okay because I know I throw a ton of names out there. You know, honestly, I was just writing down.
As Gorilla Monsoon, there's a lot of humanity in the ring.
Yeah,
it would be interesting. It would be very interesting, and it's a lot of you get a lot of tag teams out there. Who was you thinking of?
I didn't put.
Shoot, he'd have to go through the list again. And I don't know if I'd have a name to replace all of them. There's certain ones I know I would. To me, I wouldn't have in there. Like Penta and Phoenix, I wouldn't have in there.
Oh, dude, they're a great tag team.
Eh.
The AEW is wasted squandering them right now. FTR to me is like the modern day
I
pinnacle of
think.
what the Brainbusters will be. They have to be there, I think.
See, I think you have Arn and Tully. I think you have FTR in there. Midnight Express.
Ooh, that will be a dream match in itself. Just Brainbusters, FTR. Holy shit.
Well, see, that's the only reason I said go. I mean, if you did it as a gauntlet match, you'd have to cut a bunch of these teams, just for time. But having those single matches between two of those teams to lead up to the final, whoever's going to win would be. That's the only reason I like the gauntlet ones like that. I think, Arn and Tully, I'd have to add. FTR, I'd want to add Midnight Express. There was somebody else in my head a minute ago, and I can't think of who it is now. It might pop to me later. I can't remember right now who it was.
All right, so let's go through them one at a time, and we'll yay or nay them, and
Okay.
Majority wins. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
I mean, let's set a number though, because we don't want to make this too big. How many teams do we
Yeah.
have? So if you have 10 tag teams, that's 20 people in the ring. That's almost a Royal Rumble and almost everybody in there at the same time, unless you're bringing them out in different intervals.
Ooh, what
I think 10 was what I had wrote down.
What was that, Hassel?
What was like a tag team Royal Rumble? Every 2 minutes, a new team comes out.
Now, what if you get eliminated, your partner is gone before they even get to come?
No. Both teams have to be
both members of the team
have to be eliminated.
Okay, but you can have points where just one member of the team is still in there. Okay, yeah, I could get behind this.
So, make sure I'm understanding. Both members of the team come out every 2 minutes, but you have to both be eliminated.
Yeah, the tag team comes out together.
Okay.
Like you start with two tag teams, then every 2 minutes another tag team arrives.
Okay.
I like that. That's never been done as far as I know. That sounds great.
They did a tag team. Did they do a tag team Royal? I thought they did one time. Or was
I
it just
don't recall one, but I would watch the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever done one exactly like that. I don't know, but that sounds cool.
All right. Well, let's run down your list, Al.
All right. So, Road Warriors.
I
think they've got to be in there. The Steiner brothers.
I think they make it.
Yes.
The Dudley brothers are boys.
I think so.
The Hardys.
Yep.
I'm cool with that.
Hassel, do I need to slow down?
Yeah, I'm at 4 teams now, so we got 6 more teams to go.
Okay. And I very much appreciate you being our record keeper, because I didn't want to write all this shit down.
Yeah, I don't have anything in front of me here.
Edge and Christian.
Yeah. I'm cool with that.
All right. And again, I'm just going down my list as I have them written down. So, like I say, Private Party.
They're a no for me.
Yeah, I'm not. Okay. I'm not in for them.
Okay. Eminem. I'm okay leaving those out. I just love those guys.
I think Johnny Nitro provides you some spots, but I don't know. I just don't see it.
Okay. I'm a huge fan of both of those guys and Melina. Yeah.
Yeah, her entrance was always great, especially that one we seen in Albany that time.
Special timekeeper, Melina.
There we go.
All right, so no on Eminem. All right, the APA.
I'm okay with them.
I'm okay with them. That's a big group.
Okay, how many more teams do you have on your list before we go that route? So we got like 5.
Okay. I've got. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just if nothing else, right? The APA off to the side until we decide if we're throwing them in.
We got them as on.
They're a possible. Yeah, they're a possibility.
Okay. I've got 4 more tag teams written down, so I mean we can go through them and then we'll go through with some of the ones that you guys said. I had the Usos.
I think you got to have them in this match.
I think they've proven themselves at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Pentagon and Phoenix.
I'm actually cool with them.
I'll let you guys
Right.
decide on that. I'm a no for them, but
We'll sit them to the side right now too.
Okay. The Freebirds.
I
And I don't know which two you want to put in, but I feel like that's got to be.
I feel like that's Terry Gordy and
and-
Michael P.S. Hayes, but
All day long.
Michael Hayes.
Unless you're going to stick
then,
on gorgeous Jimmy Garvin in there.
so where are we up to? 7 that we said yes to?
7, yes. We got three left.
And then the last one I had was either America's Most Wanted or Beer Money, or neither.
No, I'm fine with them, actually. They're probably some of the best product to come out of TNA.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
So
I'm fine with either combination.
We'll stick with America's Most Wanted.
So is that 8 now that we have firmed up?
Now we're down to, we need 2 more tag teams. I honestly don't see how we could do this without FTR.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
And I think everybody except has pretty much said Midnight Express.
Yeah, I mean, they would be great in a match like this, I believe. And just seeing Corny at ringside. Because he's going to whack somebody with that fucking racket at some point.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So we got the Midnights.
All right. I'm a little sad that APA's not in there, but I'll be honest, those guys were never really in it for the championships. They were in it to drink beer and make money.
And I think when you look at them, they're almost a duplicate of Road Warrior. They're just a big bruiser team. I mean,
yeah.
So we're down to the main event, guys. The WCW Championship versus the WWF Championship.
So we got to do this and then go back and pick the winners. And we'll try to do that quickly just because we are running a little tighter on time. And then we'll do our nerd out and all that stuff. So who you got for this?
We're not picking referees for all these matches?
We hadn't had a special referee yet. This is a match.
I just said that to mess with Monster.
Nick Patrick's refereeing every match.
No. I do feel like this is a match that we'll have to have a special enforcer or a referee.
I guess it depends on who's in it. Who are we going with?
And does it stay a one-on-one match? Is it an elimination chamber? Is it Hell in a Cell?
It's hard to make it one-on. I'd like to be at one-on-one just to end it off that way, but I don't know that you can get to it with the amount of names that you would throw out there.
It's challenging because it almost has to be. To me, in some aspects, what I would like about the one-on-one is the fact that you have one champion. Yeah. You don't have, say, 4 variables in there that can win the title. You actually got the best versus the best.
Yeah.
It's just pure that way.
Yeah. And then that's just my take on that. I don't think that would need to be. I mean, it'd be really cool to see a super gimmick match, but then
we've had so many gimmick ones. It's kind of, I don't know. I think personally, it's just dwindling down the names to the one-on-one. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, because I mean, okay, on the WCW side, we can start there. You got Ric Flair, 4 Horsemen, Ric Flair, Sting, right, Dusty Rhodes, right off the rip. That's 3 guys synonymous with WCW, NWA. Then on the WWF side, you got guys like The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino. Hell, at this point, Roman Reigns. But we got a damn call with no Roman Reigns. I mean, Macho Man. There's so many greats that you just escape this card. And our viewers, we apologize because y'all are going to be pissed because they are a lot of great names that we have.
Yeah, and you can't fit them all in. But even but when you look at it, to me, like someone like Roman Reigns, as good as he is right now, he has not had the longevity of some of these others. And he hasn't changed.
He's been champ for 2 years.
700 days is pretty fucking long.
Yes,
pretty fucking long.
But in the entire realm of his wrestling career, is what I'm talking about. You know, how many decades has Hulk Hogan still been holding on to what little glory he had, but we still remember Hulk Hogan.
He is still a household name, good or bad.
Roman Reigns has not had 40 years worth of household name value. That's what I'm getting at.
And the only reason I don't throw Hulk so much into this is it's purely because Hulk was the face of the WWF for years. He's what launched rock and wrestling and got us there. So, which also argues how important it is to have him there. But he did go to WCW. He was the face of WCW, good or bad, for a while. So you actually got the dream matches with him and everyone that you would have thought.
Right, and I was just using him as an example of.
And Flair to me, Flair the same way, honestly, because Flair's wrestled both sides. He's wrestled great people on both sides. Hell, even you've had Flair and Kurt Angle on Flair, and all the WWF guys. Macho Man, he kind of done the same thing. To me, Sting is the one.
Flair and Undertaker.
Yes.
We've seen it live.
We have.
Yeah, that was that's why I was saying something with Hogan, like when you talking about Roman Reigns, I was like, yeah, Roman's great and he's got longevity with the belt. I just mean his wrestling career is not as long as some of these names you're throwing out there that people remember no matter what still.
Okay. So what if we circle back to what we had said earlier? WCW champion Sting, and we could choose whether it be Surfer Sting or Crow Sting, versus WWF champion The Undertaker. And you can pick which era Undertaker we want. Or, if you got something else, I'm more than open.
I like Undertaker versus Sting for this just because the face value of it. I mean, yes, we're leaving out people like The Rock and we used Stone Cold earlier, but The Rock is left out of this. But The Rock didn't have, as much as he's pop culture, that's because he transcended to pop culture. It's not because he was wrestling pop culture.
Yeah, he realistically had a run from 96 to
it's a relatively shorter time frame, right?
So, 7 years. It's he was during the important 7 years for the WWF. He helped make them, because if you hadn't had Rock during that time, it wouldn't have transcended like it did and kicked Nitro's ass.
So I think there's no stipulation in the match other than if you want to have an enforcer or a referee, but have guests do stuff like, why don't you have The Rock be the ring announcer for the match? That's what you would use him for, to me, though, right?
And this isn't a match that I see going as like an Iron Man match or nothing like that. I don't.
No.
You don't want to see these guys go an hour.
No.
Even in their prime?
No, not even in their prime. The only person that could tote Sting for an hour was Flair. Woo!
I don't know. The only person who did, I could have seen Shawn Michaels tote Sting for an hour.
That was the first thing that popped in my head was Shawn. That
would have been a great match. Aside from this, I was literally just thinking the other day, what a great feud Surfer, Sting, and Owen Hart would have been when Owen Hart was King of Hearts. Them two could have had some really great matches.
Yeah. That's two I would have put the...
Owen Hart was so hateable when he was King of Hearts. And Surfer Sting, he hadn't got to where the Crow was, so he would be believable. Owen Hart could steal one on him.
That would be a great mid-card IC belt.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, back to the match we were trying to build, though, before we get sidetracked again.
So are we Sting and Taker in this? You got some better suggestions, Rob? I'm more than open.
Sting and Taker was mine originally, so I don't, unless I start playing devil's advocate and throwing out names like Andre the Giant and totally fucking people up.
No,
whatever you guys think.
I am fine with Sting and Taker, and my stipulations are I want to pick a ring announcer crew for it.
Sure.
I want Bobby Heenan, Jim Ross, and Macho Man to call this match.
I'm gonna be honest. Money for me would just be Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan.
Oh, dude, yeah, I was trying to think of Gorilla's name and I was completely just blanking. But yeah, that's what I'd like to
Gorilla
see.
and Heenan would just be money at this right here, and they would be the least biased, honestly.
Yeah.
Do we have
Yeah,
a special enforcer for this? And if so, who would be neutral?
So here's what I would say. I think you have special enforcer to keep other people out of the ring. So like, say this, if you have this, if this is not Surfer Sting, if this is Crow Sting, you got to keep the NWO from coming out and trying to interfere and costing the match. That's where your enforcer comes in.
Okay. Well, who's neutral?
All right, so I got to say one thing, and I'm okay with your announce team, but my announce team would have been JBL, Michael Cole, and Matt Stryker.
Just you're banned from the show now with Michael Cole.
Man, Gordon Soley
JBL's got to have somebody to pick on.
Fucking grave right now. Gordon Soley, he just took 3 shots of vodka and says, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Michael Cole is only allowed to announce when Bailey's allowed to be at ringside to hassle him.
That's what that's the only reason he's there is to give JBL somebody to make fun of.
I think Bailey does a better job of harassing Michael Cole than anybody else.
Well, but okay. But anyway, special enforcers, since we didn't use them in the tag match, use the APA for special enforcers.
But they're going to be pro WWF. I'm thinking you need somebody that was on both sides of the fence and done well on both sides of the fence to it, so there's no loyalty to one more than the other. A neutral.
Man. Okay.
Maybe this is where we put the Hulkster in at. And I'm talking late 80s moral Hogan.
You're talking actually Hulk.
Your prayers and eat your vitamins?
The Hulkster. He does the right thing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, I like that, actually.
Okay. Because you can see he would stop, and he would have the ability to stop either man from doing something dastardly.
Yeah.
And word say DX or NWO to come down, or the Four Horsemen to come down. Yeah. Kane. You get, oh shit. Could you imagine 88 Hogan nose to nose with fucking Kane?
Nice.
Dude. Ooh, got chills. So we got the Hulkster as a enforcer. What if Ricky the Dragon is the referee?
Yeah, that was one. I was thinking about him. I was thinking about him for your enforcer, but I was like, but he's going to be biased against Taker.
Not really. Ricky the Dragon was. I mean, he had his WCW side, he had his WWF side. I think he was always a face. He was never a bad guy.
This is true.
I like that because I wanted to put Lex in somewhere.
Well, Lex wouldn't be able to decide who to turn on because the match might go more than 2 minutes.
There you go.
He had to turn every 2 minutes to be relevant.
We cool with ref Steamboat?
Actually, I am. I like Steamboat a lot.
Yeah. I wanted Steamboat in somewhere. I just couldn't think of anywhere to put him, so I'm great with that.
All right, guys, we have a card here. So let's just run through the card real quick, and then we'll go back and select our winners. So the curtain jerker is a cruiserweight ladder match, 4-man with WCW champion Rey Mysterio, WWF champion Ultimo Dragon, Kofi Kingston, and Dean Malenko. The second card match is the World Television Champion versus European Champion versus TNT Champion, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and MJF. Moving on to the third will be the Women's Championship in a unification match with big time or the man Becky Lynch versus Dr. Britt Baker, DM, the Usos, Freebirds, America's Most Wanted, FTR, and the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette. And then now for the main event, WCW Champion, the Icon Sting versus WWF Champion, the Phenom, The Undertaker, with special enforcer Hulk Hogan and special guest referee Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I mean, would you guys spend $60 on this or what?
Yes.
I would get a hacked Dish Network card to watch this. And I apologize, the younger viewers are not going to understand that.
They're not going to remember those days, but I do. I do well.
Hassel knows.
He does. He does. All right, so it's cruiserweight match. Who wins?
I go Ray.
Yeah, I really do too.
Okay, I'm fine with Ray getting the W on this one right here. So your new WCW and WWF Light Heavyweight Champion, Rey Mysterio. Moving on to the television versus European versus TNT Championship of the World. Who you got, guys?
I like Eddie myself, but
While I see Benoit win this match, I almost see MJF stealing this and this being what makes MJF moving forward.
I vote MJF. Same thing. It's got to elevate him to the next level.
we can go with that then.
So, your new Triple Crown
Did you
winner.
just give us a what?
What? MJF Women's Championship. Who do you guys got?
I gotta go with Becky.
Yeah.
Y'all killing me. Y'all killing me. I had Britt all day long. All day long, man. That's Britt's bird. Come on.
I don't know. I don't think she can handle Becky.
Okay. So we are unanimous. The new undisputed WWE WCW Women's Champion is the man.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Does Britt get color in the match?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. I think we stay away from him because of how much we're going to get next.
Yeah, this next match is fixing to be a beast. And I mean, I'm just visually concepting this match. It is like, holy shit, war in my mind. What is the tag team that wins to move on to the final?
Did we skip some? Oh, yeah. We're on the hardcore one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, 'cause you got 3 tag
geez.
teams, and then they got to move on to have the one-on-one. I got Muda Funk.
I got to go with Muda Funk, and I think Funk pulls out the ultimate
I
win.
mean, I think there's a whole lot of really great shit that could go on between just to get to that.
Yeah.
But I got Muda Funk.
I'd have to side with you there because I think Funk takes the ultimate win at the end of it, but that's just me.
What you got, Rob?
I honestly would have went Mankind and Mox with Mankind pulling the win, but I think that what you said with Muda Funk would be pretty amazing as well.
I'm cool with Muda Funk getting the tag team. Muda gets the tag team win, and then Funk steals the singles win.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
All right, now we are into our dream match. Rob, your big creation. Who you got, guys?
This was Fiend and Demon, right?
Yeah.
The Demon is undefeated as the Demon.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the Demon a whole lot better than I care for the Fiend. To be perfectly honest, I just was not a fan of anything that they really did with the Fiend.
I was a fan of both, but I'm a bigger fan of the Demon. I'll be honest. I think as the win streak continues.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. This was a teeter match for me. I could sit going either way. I think it would do more elevating of the Demon character for Balor than it would for Wyatt. Wyatt's to the point where he could take a loss and still show up next week and be believable badass.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that the ring ropes will be burned somehow after the end of this. Somebody's going to launch a fireball or something.
Either that or guys just going to cut the rope again.
They're going to have a second damn ring for everything from past match 5 on, because those two matches in a row, there's nothing left, I don't think.
Yeah, we're gonna have an intermission. Y'all go take a leak, get another beer.
You're gonna have to have an intermission because there is no bathroom break in this car.
There is not.
No, sir.
Somebody better wear the pins to this show, is all I can tell them. Now we're moving on to the one I think is going to actually steal the entire show to me. U.S. champion Kurt Angle versus Bret the Hitman Hart in an I Quit match. You know without even question where I'm going to say.
Yeah, I know.
See, for me, it's my Olympic hero, Kurt Angle. I think he kicks Canada's ass all the way back up north.
Wow.
Sorry.
You just made it a Hart Foundation versus the rest of everybody again.
I'm going to have to go with
USA versus Canada, baby.
I think Angle pulls out the win because I think Brett would be willing to put him over because the match would just.
I think you guys just wanted to side against my hero, but that's fine.
I can't believe Monster agreed with me. I'm so happy.
He just wanted to get the W on Hassel. That's where that come from. Let's see what really happened there. Now, the spectacle. Tag Team Royal Rumble. How does this go?
Ooh, I don't think I can call the whole thing. That's too long of a list to go through with who's eliminating who and all that. But let's just who's winning this.
Oof.
I got to be honest. I think we could do an entire show on every single one of these matches and have the next 8 shows just
you
trying
might
to
have
call
an
the
idea
spots.
there, Big Rob.
We probably could.
It's something definitely to revisit.
I wouldn't do them back to back because our fans will murder us.
The course of the night. A face wins, a heel wins, a face wins. Pretty well a face wins. A face wins. Is Angle a heel or a face here?
I think in this.
It's U.S. Canada deal. He's a face. We're in desperate need of some heel winning.
It's hard. It's hard for me to pick anybody over Legion of Doom in this.
Yeah. I really see the Legion of Doom winning this. However, how cool would it be? Let's just say if Jim Cornette swerves everybody with the racket and helps FTR win.
That would be an interesting.
Trading in the old tag team for the new. Because let's face it, FTR is a huge homage to the Midnights.
Yeah.
Them and the Brainbusters, just technical wrestling in itself. But I could very well see Jim siding with those guys. But I'm fine with the Warriors winning too. Because this is a Royal Rumble, so it's not like it's a technical one-on-one per se, to where Steiners might would edge them out or something like that. It is a brawl.
Oh, Rob, you got to make the call.
Oh, jeez.
So that's the pleasure of not being the guest. I can put you on the spot.
Thanks. So, okay. So let me say I would go ahead. I kind of like the idea of FTR winning. But in my head, the way this plays out is totally different because I'm using the ultimate opportunist edge and the new and improved villain Christian Cage. And I do believe that they could sneak their way into just stealing this victory out from everybody else. But I'm a huge Edge and Christian mark. So I'll give it to FTR.
Yeah, because you know what? I could see the Road Warriors accidentally eliminating themselves by trying to take out somebody, right? Like the big guy always goes to close on you over the ropes and they go over with you because momentum takes you out.
Well, I can see one going out that way, and
that.
the other one arguing with Jim Cornette or somebody at ringside and getting lumped. Because they were bad about getting distracted that way.
I can see that, and it being them, Midnight Express, and FTR left, and then the Midnight's thinking, oh, well, we got rid of them because Cornette, distracted them. Now we take care of FTR, and then Cornette turning on them.
Bashing one of them over the head with a racket, and then dumped out.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be some amazing drama right there, and
it really would
steal the show.
It would. Well, it's time, guys. It's time for the main event. WCW Champion Sting versus WWF Champion The Undertaker. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is our referee, and the Immortal Hulk Hogan is our special guest enforcer. Now, did we decide, is this Crow Sting, and which era Taker is this?
feel like you got to go Phenom Undertaker.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking what?
I'll,
Late 90s?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And who wins?
I'm a mark for the Undertaker. I never watched WCW. I have no ties to WCW whatsoever. So that's got to be between you guys.
I'm all for Sting. To be honest, I'm all for Sting. I mean, he does. I don't see him. He doesn't win with the Scorpion. It's a death drop and out of nowhere type victory. He steals it, so to speak. Not in a cheating fashion, but just one of those like finishes where time to 3 hits. There's a kick out to where it was like a split second earlier. Taker would have kicked out.
So my 2 cents is Taker is far technically better probably than Sting, because Sting was not a great caller. He was not great technically. But in the words of Vince McMahon, if it's your ultimate show, you got to send the fans home happy, and Sting is going to be your big hero. How do you not let him pull it out? So I got to go with Sting.
Okay.
And I think it's one of those things that right after the pin is done, and he stands up to raise his hand, Undertaker's already sitting up, but it wasn't in time.
Yeah, literally the Brett Diesel finish, maybe.
Yeah, probably closer to that than Hogan Warrior, where Hogan's kicking out at 2 and they just ignore it.
Just for on a sidebar, does Steamboat and Hogan get involved in with who?
I think this is where you bring in some of your people we didn't use, like your Ric Flairs and some of them, and have them try to interfere for either their side or just because they can't stand they can't stand Sting, so they're gonna help the Undertaker, and then Hogan has to run them off and stuff, that sort of thing to me.
Just as long as we don't have that weird NWO DX bullshit we had with Triple H.
No. I don't want that. I want something like, okay, Four Horsemen's going to come screw Sting over because they don't like him, and then Kane's going to show up and help his brother the Undertaker, and Hogan has to shuffle him off. If you do a couple of little quick angles like that, then I'm all right with it.
Maybe the American Dwayne comes down there to help run Ric Flair off and gives the Hulkster some help.
Yeah, and that's where you use all these people you didn't have, right?
Maybe even Austin. I don't know. Maybe the Rock comes down there and gives a rock bomb to somebody. I can see a lot of homage at the end of this.
Yeah.
Not too much because you don't want to kill the match, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We just put together our first SuperMania, and I'd say it was a pretty good card here, guys. I had a great time doing this. Hopefully the fans enjoyed it, and
maybe we'll come back and delve into some of these, like the if we save this, maybe we'll come back and what would the tag team look like, who was going to win and where.
Oh yeah, but I would definitely like to come back and maybe flesh these matches out some. Maybe some backstory and how the match goes and the ending.
Yeah, and we can do that in a future episode, but for this one, we've kind of run a little long, so we'll jump straight into Nerd Out and try to make these a little bit quicker. So we'll do more of a lightning round answer. We don't have to explain a whole lot of it, but for anybody who's never been here before, this is where we ask random questions about the topics of the day. We give our off-the-cuff answers, and we have had no time to prepare what our answers are to the questions, so you're going to get whatever we come up with randomly. And if you have any comments that you want to share on what we answer with, or if you have your own answers, feel free to put that in the comments below. Rob, you're the guest, so I'll let you ask the question first, and we'll try to just do quick answers instead of full explanations just to save some time.
All right, so I kind of came up with this one last night. I've got my answer about halfway, so hopefully by the time you two answer, I'll be finished. Keeping in with the wrestling theme of the day, any wrestler, any era, living or dead, any company, let's say for time's sake, 6 members, give me your perfect stable.
I'll go on that. I want I'm going to make it like a Mega Powers heroic stable. I want Hogan, Macho Man, Warrior, Sting, Steamboat, and Face Rock.
Okay.
It's a powerful stable.
It is. It is. I am going to go Kurt Angle, 97 Bret Hart, Chris Benoit when they won the title. For power, I'm going to go with Diesel and Scott Hall.
Very nice.
Nice. What you got, Rob?
So my stable, it kind of runs back to something we discussed earlier. So I kind of want to resurrect the corporate the ministry with Undertaker, Kane this time, Aleister Black, Julia Hart, and oh man, my mind just totally blank. Pentagon and Vampiro.
Wow, that
Just
was
a
one I
weird
didn't see
stable.
coming.
I know.
That's pretty sweet. I like that.
Not the most powerful stable, but interesting.
Hassel, what you got for your nerd out question this week?
Oh, since we're sticking with wrestling, I'll stay with it. What if? My question is, what one if would you change? Like, there's always been key points and like certain bullet points of wrestling where this you see this triggers this triggers this, so forth and so on. What would be your one point, fixed point that you would change? Like whether it be a guy going to a different company, an event not happening, a different push or a different outcome, and what would it be?
Rob, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
If you got something, go ahead.
I don't know. Just very quickly, since we're trying to do this kind of more like lightning round today, I Sting versus Warrior going to WWF.
You stole my answer, you rascal. Vince would have had money right there because that would have been the better for him.
Sting would have gave the crowd everything Warrior did, but he would have worked with them backstage because he seemed like he was a much more amicable person to work with, I think.
And he would have still got his time with Flair later to learn like he needed to. But could you imagine him working with Rude early? Oh man.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
So I'm not I can't remember the exact circumstances, just because my brain's addled right now. But if Shawn had never had to retire, whenever his wasn't his back injury or something?
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yeah, it was right after the Tyson match.
Yeah, if Shawn hadn't had to retire, if he hadn't had that injury, if he'd have stayed on,
that would have changed a lot, I think.
Especially
I feel
backstage.
like it did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and DX in general, just how that evolved, because they really came into their own as a group after he was gone.
Yeah, they were far more entertaining without him. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For my question, it's a real simple one. Is that, if you were in wrestling, what would your dream title that you would be going for be? What would the one that you would be running after?
WWF Twin Eagle all day.
So you want the world title for WWF?
Yes.
Rob, what about you?
I'm okay with the hardcore title.
That's not what I
don't
would
have to
thought.
be the number one guy. I'm sorry. Was I supposed to take the U.S. title?
No, I was
I'm
just.
an
I said to
asshole
see
like
you coming out with a hardcore. No, I wouldn't. For me, the same thing. I'm not I don't need the singles biggest title. I'd want the tag team titles and be in a tag team. I think I don't know. Tag team gets overlooked to me. I always liked it. So. But with all that brings us to a close today. But before we get out of here, let's make sure we give some shout outs. First of all, to Big Rob, thank you for coming on and joining us again. It's always a pleasure to have you here, sir. And then next up, our friend Daniel Garcia. Kickstarter for Diver Ronin is over, but as you heard Hassel say earlier, the book is done, being printed, getting ready to go out. So that'll be in your hands soon. And they're continuing to build the universe, and we'll hear more about that in the coming days. But you can keep up with all that either here or on Daniel's pages on Facebook at Daniel Garcia and on Instagram at D Garcia Comics. We also want to give a shout out to a newer friend of the show, content creator, autism activist, toy reviewer, Miss Mandy Lynn. You can find her on her social at Kushi Mama, and I hope I didn't butcher that name too bad on Instagram.
Can't do no worse than I did last week.
And Doodle's Toy Report on YouTube. You can check out her toy talks, toy hauls, reviews, and as she put it, her zany antics that she gets into every day. Stay on the lookout for her socials. She is going to have some exciting stuff coming up with some merch and all in the near future, and we'll be able to share more once she's able to share more with us and announce it. But with that, also remember, check out our sponsor, The Zone Collectibles, for all your nerdy needs. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com, on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles, and at their store in Tifton, Georgia. Help them support the cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. I don't think, because we had such a long episode and you guys were prepping for it, I don't think we had time to prep for a weekly winner this week. Is that right, Hassel?
We did not. Plus the friend of the show, Chris Daly, who, like I said, is the host of Fueled by Weird, he was the winning idea anyways, and he just won a few months back, so I don't feel fair doing a double winner. So what we wish y'all do next week's show, we will double the prize. This week's plus that week's.
Yeah, and we do want to thank Chris Daly as well for giving us the topic for today's show. It was a really good one.
Yeah, we got many suggestions. I mean, the inbox blowed up, but out there was just like, it spoke to us.
Yeah, but with that brings today's episode to a close. Before we leave, Hassel, though, tell them where they can find us on social media so they can enter for the weekly drawings.
You can find us on Facebook at Hassel Hutchinson via the Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show and Twitter at Nerdy MR Show. And of course, YouTube.
And join us here next time. We're going to discuss the perils and the lost arts of collecting. And until then, live nerdy, say your prayers, and take your vitamins.
Go dogs.